It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report After Show. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Let's see if everything everything looks like it's going. Looks like we're on. We got all our returning friends in the chat room. Okay, Opperman Report After Show. This show is brought to you. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. And this show is brought to you by emailrevealer.com. If, want to catch your husband or your wife cheating online, you send me their email address. And I can trace it back to online dating websites and catch them cheating online. You can also get a copy of my book, How to Succeed as a Private Investigator, by going to emailrevealer.com. And, of course, you know, all my guests, all my hosts, all my sponsors that I love so much, MichiganMushrooms.net. Miguel Lasala, author of the book Rodeo of Doom, and best-selling author, by the way. And then we have Amanda from Pacific West Bamboo, and then we have strawmanmusic.com. That's about it, right? Unless I'm forgetting somebody. Miguel Lasala, Amanda Pacific. Oh, the New World Mexican Women. How could I forget? The only way you can find them is by Googling New World Mexican Women. I love the New World Mexican Women down there in Mexico. Okay. Let's get going here. Pull up my notes. Okay, good. Yeah, got some good stuff going on here. Oh, no. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Tommy, you got me all confused here. No, this isn't the show about the oil. Maybe at the end, okay? Relax. I got a whole plan. Okay. Okay. All right, good. Chat room cheers me up, I tell you. I had a rough week, okay? Tomorrow, I'm doing a brand new live show. It's my second show on American Freedom Radio. Last week, I did a show on American Freedom Radio at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific Standard Time. And you just got to Google American Freedom Radio. I put up the blog post for it and everything. Last week, we had William Ramsey did a show about the West Memphis 3. We started from the beginning, and we went through everything that we knew about the case, for a beginner's class. I think it went great. On American Freedom Radio on Wednesday night, I did a show with Chuck Ocelli from the Ocelli Effect. And then I did the debut show on Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. on American Freedom Radio. Now, American Freedom Radio, if you go there and see all their affiliates, they got like 30 AM/FM affiliates and websites all over the world. And I am getting so much response from those two appearances. Like, I'm talking about every time I go to Spreaker and I refresh Spreaker, there's like another 10 followers on Spreaker. And so all the hits, the traffic is through the roof. So I'm really, really excited about that. And tomorrow when I'm on American Freedom Radio and all those 30 affiliates and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to be also on the Awake Network and Spreaker and iHeart and all my usual stuff that I'm on. So it's a big, giant simulcast, second live show that we're doing during the week, or second new content show. Sunday, I'm going to be doing a show with Pierce Redmond and Tom Secker. We're going to record it, and it's for Boiling Frogs. It's for their podcast, and it's for that thing they do where they watch a movie and then they try and figure out why did the CIA pay for this movie. So we're going to be doing that. Updated the member section this week. I did a show with this guy. I read this article about, hey, what's really going on in Greece that they don't tell you. They're not telling you in the mainstream media here, in this corporate-controlled media we have here in the United States. So I found this guy who wrote the article, and I brought him on, and he's a really funny guy. I really like him. We got along great. Really interesting guy. I forget his name at the moment. I think it was Chris Hankin or something like that. But that's updated, and it's in the member section. There's also 2 other new shows in there. I think I put the Ocelli show in there, and I think I put a Pierce Redmond show in there. Oh, and also, too, there's a show on there, too, I did with Don Jeffries called You Didn't Build That. So a lot of really good content in the members section. Hey, and that's where all the cool kids hang out, too, by the way. Did you know that? In the members section at OppermanReport.com. New content, new shows. We're going to be adding some stuff, some documents and stuff. We're working on that. Good old Sean Duff is always bugging me. Says, hey, Ed, what else can we put in there? And I never quite have the time to get this going. But with this new AFR show on Saturday afternoons, 3 p.m., I really, really expect we're going to start getting a lot of members. And we can't advertise on it. I can mention links, websites and stuff like that, really short. I can read really short ads. But I think, if you want to advertise now, because it's going to be bringing new traffic to the Friday night show and all to all of our outlets like Spreaker and iTunes and TuneIn and all the places that play our show every week. We're playing every day now. We're playing someplace every single freaking day. You can't get away from the sound of my voice, no matter how far you try to hide. You can run, but you can't hide. All right, okay. All right, a little quick update on my adventures this week. Yesterday, I was supposed to meet up with Sarah Jane Woodall from WonderHussy.com. Done a couple of shows with Sarah Jane Woodall. She's a beautiful, beautiful artist and model here in the Las Vegas area. And she does nude modeling, and she does fetish modeling and stuff like that. But an incredibly brilliant artist and writer, too, by the way, this woman. Just incredible. I'm so impressed with her work. You have no idea. And so she had written a post for her blog on WonderHussy.com about how she went up to this brothel, Bunnytail Brothel. It's an abandoned brothel, and she broke in, and she snuck in, okay? And she got in. Let's put it that way, okay? She gets in there, and they do a photo shoot, and she tells the story behind this brothel. And part of the story is about how this is the brothel that Howard Hughes was at when his pilot took off and left him there. It's 2.5 hours outside of Vegas. And that, who's that guy? Melvin Dumar came driving by, picked up Howard Hughes, saw him there lying in the street, and picked him up, brought him in the truck, drove him back to Vegas. And then Melvin Dumar was in Howard Hughes's will. I think I keep calling him Howard Stern. I've been calling him Howard Stern, but Howard Hughes's will. Howard Hughes was the richest man in the world at one time. For all you kids out there listening to the OppermanReport.com. So I told her, I said, hey, I know Melvin Dumar. I had him on the show, so I tagged him in the Facebook post. And the next thing I know, Melvin Dumar thinks we're interviewing him. He thinks he's going to come on the show tonight. Poor guy. I love him. But it's kind of funny because, now it's all, we're talking about Melvin Dumar. We got the Howard Hughes. And so I'm going to take a Wonder Hussy, Sarah Jane Woodall, down to the Trump rally at the South Point Casino, which is more like my end of town, okay? It's only about 15, 20 minutes away from where I am. But for her, she lives up north Las Vegas, like an old downtown Las Vegas part. A very nice home. She has a very nice neighborhood. It's like an up-and-coming, like, artsy. She likes artsy people, So I was early. I got down to the Trump rally early. Because the last time we went with me and Vic, when I took my daughter to the last one, we got there really, really early. And you didn't have to, because they were letting people in during the middle of the rally. People were just coming and going, So I says, they say get there early, but you don't have to. You can just come and go. So me and Vic went. We saw these crazy people there. Vic was so scared. She was holding my hand. So I said to Sarah Jane, I said, hey, this is going to be a great story. We're going to take pictures and stuff. It's going to be a great fun adventure for us. So I get down there early because I like to get there early and scope things out and see what's going on. And there's a line out the door of this South Point Casino. The parking lot outside was filled to the max. I couldn't get a parking spot. I go inside and I get online to get inside. There's about 1,500, maybe 1,700 people on the line to get in. Guy comes over and says, room's full. No more. Everybody got to go home. So this is where you can watch it at the bar if you want, but there's no seats at the bar, you know. So, and the crowd was kind of, you know, pushing and shoving a little bit, so I was getting a little nervous. So I scooted my way through the crowd, and I called Sarah Jane. I told her, hey, you know, they're kicking us out. There's no, the room's full. I left a message for her. So I figured she was going to turn around and go home. But she didn't. She came down there anyway, so I missed seeing her. And I feel so bad about it, too, because she took pictures and stuff like that, and she hung around down there. I guess she had no one to hang out with. So I kind of screwed that up for her, and I really feel bad. So I could not get into the Trump rally, and I did not make the effort like I should be doing to get my press passes and get in there with the press section. You get in there no matter what if you get your press credentials, you know. But it's a hassle. The only people really now that are cooperating with me on that is the Bernie people. They love me, and I'm totally in touch with the Bernie press team, and they're helping me out as much as I want. I have not made the same effort with the Trump people because I'm a little worried they'll recognize my name. I'll get my butt kicked, you know? You know what I'm saying? And the Hillary people, too. I'm on their list, and they were calling me yesterday all day long to go down and see Bill. Bill Clinton was in town last night as well. So I did go down and see Bill Clinton. I went down to the Bill Clinton rally, and it's at one of these high schools they held it at where Victoria goes for these debates all the time. As a matter of fact, at the high school there where they is one of the, it's called Las Vegas Technical Academy, something like that. And it's a really, really good school, and the kids usually win the debates, okay? So I went down there, and I recognized some of the kids from the debating team. Now, I read in the Review Journal that they said that there were 700 people attended that rally last night down at this high school there for Bill Clinton. There weren't even as many people at the Bill Clinton rally as there were that were turned away at the Trump rally. There was more people in the hallway turned away from Trump than attended the Bill Clinton rally. A lot of the people that attended the Bill Clinton rally were kids that went to that school. They were there in the afternoon, and they hung around and stayed because they heard the former president was coming. Go to a Bernie rally, there was 4,000 people at the last Bernie rally we were at. And the one before that, there was probably even twice that. So, don't believe what you hear on TV, okay, about that Trump has the big rallies, that Bernie has big rallies. Hillary has no one shows up. They said 700. I would say there was maybe 400 people there, 450 people. A lot of them were kids from the high school. And that's a high school that holds like 2,000 kids. So that's my report for you on the local campaigns. I listened to Bill's speech. It's definitely not as good as a Bernie speech. And the Trump speech is, I listened to his speeches as well in the past. And it's the same thing you see on TV. He does the same thing over and over again. It's nothing new. And so let's see. That's pretty much all I have to report for you on the Democratic and Republican rallies that were held here in Las Vegas yesterday, January 21st, 2016. I was wondering yesterday when I was going down to the Trump rally if Sarah Palin was going to show up for that. Okay, because as you know, Sarah Palin is back in the news. Because somehow Trump has hooked up with her, and she gave her endorsement of his. Now, when you caught the big news, you know, that big day where she was going to make her endorsement speech for Donald Trump, and she came out there and she was a little rattled and kind of off, like you see her in many of her public appearances in the past couple of years. Now, I have a long history with the Palins. I've talked about this before. I was involved in well, I guess we'll get into that as we move on. I really want to weave this through tonight. I hope and pray I can get this out the way I wanted to get it out. I get a lot of wisecracks. You know, they say, well, you know, Ed, if you're such a great PI, how come you broke all the time? Okay, and I'm hoping that with tonight's story, I can explain some of that. Before I got involved with the Sarah Palin case, I was involved in a whole run of big celebrity cases. It's funny because I have been mentioned in the news in the past over my life And a lot of times they would describe me as, Ed Opperman, a shadowy PI, who keeps a low profile, And I have most of my life, even though I've been involved in some pretty big, serious stuff, the Pizza Connection trial and the Commission trial and all kinds of stuff. Always known as the shadowy guy who keeps a low profile. And I have most of my life. And I haven't been in the PI business my whole life. I've done other things. I had the nightclub, I had the beeper company and the cell phone company. I've done other things as well. But back and forth, always came back to the PI business. As a matter of fact, too, I was telling a story the other day. One of my, when I was doing as an information broker, and I was working for two of the biggest information broker companies out there. One is called Smart Data, run by a guy named Victor Gazzetta, and another one was called Action Research. And I used to supply them my phone company information. And believe it or not, it was Action Research that was hired by HP when they were spying on Carly Fiorini. So I don't know if I supplied those specific documents in that big scandal or not. And by the way, that case pretty much got the whole information broker business shut down. But just, there's another, presidential candidate that I've crossed paths with in my life, like Trump and like Palin, Joel Lieberman, Giuliani. I've run across a lot of these guys over the past couple of years in my life anyway. Okay. So the night before, so I guess around the time of the Tiger Woods case, where I came along, because first they were calling me like a shadowy PI that kept this low profile. But then I started getting involved in these high-profile cases. I got involved with something with the Howard Stern show, and I got involved with the Tiger Woods case. And when in the Tiger Woods case, that's put me in contact with people like Gloria Allred and this agent who was like an agent manager. And what she was doing was she was representing all the Tiger Woods mistresses. So she was like the agent and the publicist and the manager for mistresses. And because she got notoriety and fame over that, because she was friends with the first one, I forget her name right now, the one that I went to the news conference where she started crying at the news conference. Beautiful woman. I forget her name. She was the really, really pretty one. She was gorgeous. The first one that came out, not Rachel, you could tell, the one that came out right after that, and did the website called, I forget what the website was called. Oh boy, should have took better notes. Okay. But the thing is I got involved with this agent who got notoriety for representing all these mistresses. And then I got the case with the Ashton Kutcher mistress where, they sent me her cell phone and I pulled out all the deleted images out of her phone and I found the caller ID image of Ashton Kutcher's phone number in her phone. And then Wienergate I was involved in. And a couple of other cases, too, like things like even I would get called into cases like that girl, Mariah, who said that Justin Bieber got her pregnant. I was involved in that. So I was working on these little cases here. And how that worked was you don't get paid a lot and just barely cover your expenses. But you get to put out a press release and you get to do interviews and stuff like that. So I was getting interviewed all the time. I was doing a lot of fun stuff, too. Because I had invented that search where you could trace an email back and catch people cheating online. It was an infidelity search. And I'm the only one that does it. I invented the search. And so by going on these shows and talking about these lighthearted cases that were like tabloid cases, I could go on these shows and promote my cell phone forensics business, which was targeted toward infidelity investigations, and also my email tracing business, which was focused on infidelity investigations as well. So it was fun for me. I was making a lot of money. I was getting a lot of phones. Now, because I was involved in these big, interesting cases like Tiger Woods and Ashton Kutcher and stuff like that, the companies that did the training for the cell phone forensics and updated the software, I was well known with these guys, and I could call them up and say, hey, listen, I'm working on something. Hey, Ed, how you doing? What's going on with Tiger Woods? Hey, what's going on with this, that? So I could I guess, what do you call it? I could work my charm on these people and get free software and get free updates. And I would even get, believe it or not, they were sending me software updates and beta versions and stuff like that that they wouldn't even had sent to the FBI or the CIA or anybody before. I was getting it before anybody. So, and then they would give me special attention if I had problems, so it was great, it was a fun time. So one day, this agent contacts me, 5 o'clock in the morning like she usually did. And she says, Ed, I got a case for you. I need you to recover some deleted emails. So I said, okay, great. Send me the hard drive. And she said, well, it doesn't. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. Here, you talk to the client. But this is a big case. It involves Sarah Palin and Todd Palin. And Todd Palin was having an affair. And it's a big case. You're going to get a lot of press out of this. So just take care of it. Go take care of it, Ed. Okay, yes. Pretty much. I was getting calls like that every day. Just the craziest stuff you wouldn't imagine. There's a lot of stuff never made the news, because a lot of times they make deals in the background. There's settlements, and the case never makes it to the news. So, but sometimes there's payoffs at the end too, and if there's a financial settlement, you get a payoff that way. So, I contact the client, who was this young woman from Alaska named Shirley Tripp, and we're talking back and forth, and she unloads this whole story onto me. And what it was it wasn't that the emails were deleted from her hard drive. They were deleted from Yahoo. So I explained to her the procedure on how to recover those emails and get those emails back from Yahoo. And I prepared all the paperwork for her, and we worked on that. So she laid out the whole story of what happened and how she knew Todd Palin. And she knew Sarah Palin, too. And the long story short was, is she was working in Alaska as a massage therapist, putting ads in the back of Craigslist offering these massages. And she had a special needs child. She had a roommate who was like some broke kid, And so the guys would come to their apartment. She'd give them the massage and give them a little happy ending. So one of her clients was Todd Palin. And then she tells me that Todd Palin would not only enjoy her services, but would also send clients over to her. She would document the activity with the clients and then report back to him what they did. She even suspects and alleges that there were cameras installed in the hallway of her apartment building, catching these guys coming and going. So, but, she's a really smart woman, by the way, too. And a nice woman. A nice woman in trouble. So I hear this story and I says, whoa, this is going to be big. This is a huge story. I says, and I'm not on the front line. I'm going to stay in the background on this. Okay? There's lawyers, and there's agents, and there's publicists that are on the front line dealing with this, and I'm in the background just doing my little stuff. I'm going to get little interviews at the end. And I'm going to be happy. I'm going to get a lot of press from this. But not as the guy who's the catalyst of this case. Very rare that the private investigator is the catalyst in the case. Very rare that a digital forensic investigator is the catalyst in the case. Never. I think I'm the only one that's doing that. I don't think anybody's picked up the mantle after I came along. Usually it's a lawyer, publicist, PR agents, those kind of guys are running this kind of operation, or political hacks, like a guy like Roger Stone, like you see him around Trump, and running the, the Al Sharpton campaign. So this young woman, she lays out the story to me, and then she tells me, well, she was everything was going fine. One day, there's a knock at the door, and it's 30 cops coming in there with machine guns. It's DHS, it's FBI, it's Alaska Police Department, state police, local police, the whole thing. For a little Craigslist ad. Okay, this is a Craigslist prostitution ad in Alaska. The whole state of Alaska has 600 cops. Okay, 30 of them were in her apartment, little second floor, little 2-bedroom apartment, 1-bedroom apartment, where she also ran a little computer repair business out of there too as well, besides her massage business. So they arrest her. When they arrest her, they tell her, listen, we know you're involved with important people. We know you're involved with big political people, and we want you to tell us what's going on. So she says, no, I got nothing to say. I got nothing to say to anybody. Because she had another client that was a lawyer. They always told you, keep your mouth shut and I'll come get you out. So she keeps her mouth shut, and she gets out on bail. The case is going on. She negotiated a plea deal where all she had to do was stay out of trouble. But in the meantime, they had seized all the equipment in her house, her Rolodexes, her calendar, her notebooks, her computer, her cell phones, her laptop, all the stuff the police seized. The Anchorage Police Department seized all this equipment. So she goes to the National Enquirer, and she says, I'm going to sell you this story. Okay, and they say, okay, we'll give you $50,000. You got to take 4 polygraph tests. Okay? So they gave her the 4 polygraph tests from ex-FBI agents, and she passed all 4 tests with flying colors. The National Enquirer runs the story. She's waiting for her check to come in the mail, right? What happens is the police chief of Anchorage Police Department holds a press conference, and he says, well, this young lady, she's making these accusations, but we've checked all her material. We've did examinations on all her equipment. We've gone through her notebooks. We've checked everything. We can find no connection from this woman to Todd Palin. We cannot verify her story. And we've investigated it thoroughly. There's a press conference on TV. So the National Enquirer reneges on the payment. Okay? So, turns out later on, the police chief of Anchorage, Alaska, admits that, no, you know what? We never really did any of those things. We never checked anything. We never looked at anything. We never examined anything. I just said we did because Sarah Palin's attorney wrote that press release, and I put it on my letterhead, and I went out there and I read it. But we never really did any of those things. The client, Shirley Tripp, man, she was a bulldog. She went to the Internal Affairs. She tried to report this guy. She tried to get action. Nothing. Never got any action from the corrupt Anchorage Police Department. So now Shirley got screwed out of her money with the National Enquirer, so she needed somebody to prove that, yes, all this really did happen, so she can go back to the National Enquirer and get her money back. In the meantime, the agent dropped her as a client and did not want to help her. So at this point now, there is no one helping this young lady. Now, I knew I could help her. But I knew I was opening up a lot of problems in my life and in my future if I were to get involved in this case. Now, I had assumed I would run up against the Republican dirty tricksters and the Republican hacks and their investigators, and would come after me and make the IRS, stuff like that. I would have those kind of problems. I never imagined what I would actually get up against in this thing. So I was doing really good. The divorce was over, and we settled the money with the divorce, and I had a big chunk of money, and I went out and I had a really nice office here in Vegas doing the digital forensics. We had an office in Colorado doing the PI stuff, and things were going good, and I had the best up-to-date software and computers. We had great equipment, and I was doing a lot of phones every week, In fact, I was doing more phones than the company that was writing the software to do the phones, because the guy who was the instructor over there came to work for me. So at the end, I was, our lab was accredited. We was one of the top 400 labs in the country. So I says, okay, here's this girl. She's got nobody helping her at all, And the plan was we were going to wait for her probation to end, and then we're going to get all her equipment out of the police evidence locker, sent to me directly, and then I was going to work on all this stuff and come up with some proof to prove her case and go back and get the money back from the National Enquirer. And maybe at the end of that, I'd get a chunk of money from the National Enquirer. It was only $50,000, so it's not like I could make a lot of money out of that. So I was very concerned. I'm not a naive guy, and I was very concerned that this was going to cause me a lot of grief, or maybe even get me killed. I'm not stupid. So we prayed about it, and by the way, at this time, no one knew about this whole situation in the whole country. Maybe 5 people knew this story when I heard the story. And so I called up, Ralph Knight, Reverend Knight's an advisor of mine. And I told him the whole story, and we prayed about it with him. And I really struggled with this decision, whether to help this young woman and move ahead with this case. And what I thought was important, that the country know the truth about what these people are like. Before I even started on the forensics and the digital forensics and going through all the evidence packets and stuff like that, because it was all still at the police department, I started making some inquiries. I was trying to help out with the what's that called? The internal affairs investigation. And then there was things were coming up all day long. I was in touch with this woman all day long, every single day. Everyone had abandoned her. I was the only one helping her. And I came to learn some stuff about Wasilla, Alaska, and about the Palins and their background that a lot of people still to this day don't talk about. It's known by the people there in Wasilla. They talk about it. But they're all in agreement on what's going on. But in the general public here and the rest of the country, people really aren't aware of it. Only in the local blogs and the newspapers and the local radio stations down there in Wasilla and in Alaska are aware of what kind of people the Palins really are. So when we get back after these messages, I'm going to try and explain to you what I know about that, my experience in this case, and why I think and why I believe that for people who try and say that we have no hope, that it's all rigged, the elections are rigged, and we have no power over who gets elected or who runs for office, and nothing can happen, nothing can be changed, I'm here to encourage you tonight that yes, we can make a difference in U.S. elections. And I'm going to try, if I have time, to relate to you other experiences that I've had with people in just recently. I've talked to people that knew Clinton growing up. I've talked to people who worked in the Clinton White House and the Obama White House in their negotiations with Netanyahu. And they've told me things that have changed my opinion about how the United States political system works. And I'm going to try and get to this here because I think that I really want to encourage everybody that we can make a difference in this country. We can make a change. And I think that right now we're at a pivotal point where we can have a political revolution in this country, and we can have a groundswell, a grassroots group to really make a change in this country and the way we govern ourselves. We'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. Pacific West Bamboo, your premier source for sustainable building material. They provide construction-grade and craft-grade bamboo material for all your indoor, outdoor, and gardening needs. Contact them for event planning and display building as well. 503-839-8126. Or you go to their new website, pacificwestbamboo.com. Or you can contact them on Facebook at Pacific West Bamboo. That's 503-839-8126. Amanda from Pacific West Bamboo was our first sponsor. She's been so good to us, so please support her in return. I want to make everybody aware of our new members section at www.oppermanreport.com. You can go there and sign up for a monthly, quarterly, or yearly subscription. You can even purchase episodes one by one. You get full access to brand new original content, new guests, new uncensored interviews, my own investigations and reports, and we're going to be adding sections with documents, images, police reports, either provided by myself or by my guests, or for my own investigations, my own reports. So you can go to oppermanreport.com, and you can sign up there tonight. You can start listening tonight. Strawman. I want to mention Strawman. Strawman is a band out of Toronto, Canada. They're good friends of the Opperman Report. They're a trio of guys who share the same mindset most of us here do, and they put that energy into their words and music. So check them out at strawmanmusic.com and drop them a line to let them know that you heard them here on the Opperman Report. We'll be doing an interview with Sean Duffy soon. You can get an autographed copy of my book, How to Succeed as a Private Investigator, by visiting my PI website, emailrevealer.com. We also offer a computer and cell phone forensics. We can recover deleted text messages to uncover infidelity. We offer asset searches, locates, email tracing, background reports, and we can even trace your spouse's email address back to internet dating websites to catch them cheating online. You can reach us at 800-572-9762, or you can email me at emailrevealer@aol.com. New World Mexican Women. Everyone loves the New World Mexican Women, and their line of fine, handcrafted, authentic Mexican jewelry of stone mosaic and abalane stone inlay. In their first book, titled New World Mexican Women, available on lulu.com, they teach you how to make this jewelry, and they have a collection of love letters to their men from their hometown that have immigrated to the United States to find work. They have also published a new book entitled Azuquina to the Rodeo. It's about a young girl that falls in love with a rodeo bull rider, and she runs away with him without telling her family. You can find the New World Mexican Women by Googling New World Mexican Women, and you can ask them about their deals on wholesaling their fine jewelry and all of the other projects that they have going on. If you'd like to have your business or website advertised here and promoted all over the world on dozens of stations every day, give us a call at 800-572-9762 or email oppermanreport@gmail.com. And now back to our show. Well, not so soon. First, we're going to talk about MichiganMushrooms.net. They offer the highest quality chaga chunks available anywhere, picked fresh from healthy live trees in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, sun-dried and quickly shipped to you. They're very proud of their long-standing reputation as trusted farmers and collectors of wild, gourmet, and medicinal mushrooms. Customer service and offering high-quality products is very important to them, and they have a strict grading system that begins in the woods, and they would rather pass up a chunk that looks bad instead of passing it off to you, the customer. Additionally, they are recognized by the state of Michigan as mushroom experts. They are certified by the Department of Agriculture to sell 20 different species of mushrooms, and proof of this certification is available upon request. That is MichiganMushrooms.net or on Facebook, Michigan Mushrooms LLC. Got a brand new sponsor, The Rodeo of Doom by Miguel La Sala. The year is 2384, and Henry Fields is a down-on-his-luck adjunct professor in the architecture department at Andreas Tangen University in Los Angeles. But he has one thing going for him that others don't. He has enough of the coveted EP14 to live to be 200, if he wants to. Not that hard. When he saves a woman for certain death with a few drops of the EP14, a corrupt government agency tries to blackmail him into selling off his supply. Just when it seems like it might be a good idea, all hell breaks loose. The Rodeo of Doom was written by Miguel La Sala and edited by Margaret A. Harrell, the author of Keep This Quiet, memoir series. Now, she was also the copy-edited Hunter S. Thompson's breakthrough book, Hell's Angels. According to Harrell, the Rodeo of Doom will grip you and pull you into the wild ride of a different reality. This is a consciously fast-paced journey into the future. Author Miguel La Sala reveals his craft by intricately weaving in fine details for his reader and keeps you anxiously anticipating what will happen next. Do not wait to read this book. There will surely be more to come from this author. The Rodeo of Doom is available on Amazon.com, and there's a link to the Rodeo of Doom in the Opperman Report bookstore. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman, and I'm continuing the story of the Sarah Palin and Todd Palin sex scandal case that I was personally involved in, okay? This was my case. This was my job. A lot of people you hear on the radio talking to from an alternative media are reporting to you something that they saw in a YouTube video, okay? Or some nonsense that they're repeating or making up. I'm reporting to you my personal experience and my personal work that I did in this case. So I'm trying to make clear to you. Okay. Now, the thing is, I knew stuff about the Palins, about Sarah Palin, the vice presidential candidate, that many people did not know. They were not aware of. Okay, very few people were aware of it. And I started finding out more things. As a matter of fact, one of the things we did in this was I contacted Nick Broomfield, the documentary filmmaker. I contacted him. I said, hey, Nick, I hear you're doing a film about Sarah Palin up there in Wasilla, Alaska. I have some information. I want you to meet Shirley Tripp, and she's going to tell you her experience with Todd Palin, all this kind of stuff like that. Now, it is in his documentary, okay? And I like Nick Broomfield. I like all his documentaries. He did the Courtney Love, Courtney Killed Kurt and Courtney. He did the Biggie Smalls. You know, he did a lot of good documentaries. The Heidi Fleiss. We're into a lot of the same topics. I like his movies. What I don't like is that he knows everything I know. And he knows that Sarah Palin and Todd Palin are not some fundamentalist Christians, right-wingers that live a pious lifestyle, and that's their problem, okay? Because that's not what they are at all, okay? And he talked to Shirley Tripp, and I contacted him after that, and I says, what do you think? He says, Ed, I don't believe her. I wanted to believe her, but I don't believe her. I says, well, okay, fine. You know, I'm about to get the stuff. As soon as the court, the police locker evidence hold sends over all equipment, I'm going to do a report. I'll send you a report. Okay, fine. Now, some of the things that I learned about the Palins. First of all, when she was mayor, you always hear about that Sarah Palin was the mayor of Wasilla, Alaska. Now, if you go up, I went on Wikipedia the other day to look up how many people live in, how big is this city? How big is Wasilla, Alaska? It says there's 6,000 people living there. Now, back then, I know there wasn't even close. There was like 3,000 back at the time, or 4,000 back at the time when I was working on all this. It's a tiny little town she was mayor of. Now, and there aren't even 2,000 structures. There aren't 2,000 homes, 2,000 buildings, 2,000 apartments, stores in that town. The odd thing about Alaska, okay, a lot more people say they live in Alaska than actually live in Alaska because they give you a check every year. The government sends you a check. I think it's $1,200 a year. So there's people driving around here in Las Vegas with license plates that say Alaska. They got an Alaska driver's license because they want that $1,200 a year. So there's a lot, and Wasilla is one of those towns where you can get away with that because there's a lot of rich homes in there too. Now, what I found out about Todd Palin and Sarah Palin is this. He was a snowmobile racer, so he was a big hotshot in town. He was like a rock star type, a really hard partying guy. And she would win a beauty contest. She was like a what do you call it, like a waitress in bars and stuff like that, like almost like a Hooters girl. That's who Todd and Sarah Palin were before she ran for mayor because, you know, Todd Palin's a rock star down there because he was this what do you call it? This snowmobile racer. But there's more to it because they're also known as a bunch of thugs, okay, and criminals. And this is not what I'm saying. This is what the people there in Wasilla will say to anybody who asks them, okay? They ran a weekly poker game at their home, okay, for years and years and years. I think they still run it. It was a high-stakes poker game. There was all kinds of drunken fights and car accidents out in front of the place where they ran a poker game and they got a piece of the poker game. Todd Palin's sister was arrested for burglary. She burglarized the house twice within a few days, and she brought her 4-year-old daughter with her into these burglaries. And this is where she went to a home. She didn't know where the people in there. She went and burgled a home. And then when she turned herself in, she brought the 4-year-old with her. Sherry Johnson Levi Johnson's mother, remember Levi Johnson who married Bristol? She was indicted for dealing drugs a year and a half ago. Track Palin. Remember Track, the one who just got arrested for domestic violence? Because he was in the military, right? And I'm going to tell you the real story about this. When she was running for vice president, Track Palin had to join the military. He had just gotten his uniform the day she went to the inauguration, to the convention. And the reason why he had to join the military was because he got caught vandalizing the school, and they were going to arrest him for it with a bunch of other kids. But they didn't arrest him. And one of the things they said that he did was he broke the brake cables on the school bus. But he didn't get arrested. They didn't charge him, and they forced him to join the military instead to avoid jail time. Todd Palin himself, by the way, was arrested for a DUI in 1985. Okay. Then there's the whole thing about Troopergate. You know, this was a relative of Sarah Palin. That she got him fired from the state troopers over there because he was a relative of hers, the husband. But that guy was involved in all kind of domestic violence and tasering one of his kids, all kinds of stuff like that. A lot of people don't know that Willow Palin, okay, just recently, when she was 15 years old, everyone in Wasilla knows this story, that she was involved. She was the ringleader. She told where these kids to go, where there was an empty house, and they burglarized this house, and they caused $20,000 of damage throwing a party in this house. And there was all kinds of negotiations, and they didn't get arrested. The only ones who were charged were the boys. They made a deal where the boys were charged and the girls weren't charged. Then more recently, there was a barbecue where the whole Palin clan showed up drunk and got into a fist fight with his other family running his barbecue. That's that's in the Radar Online. You can find that online. Okay? So I knew all this stuff going on about what these people are really like. So, and this all confirmed what Shirley Tripp was telling me about all the stuff with this prostitution thing going on, where Todd Palin knew everything was going on. There's also all kinds of weird stuff too, guys, that, you know, that the baby that Sarah Palin had, I forget which one, it may not be hers, it may be Bristol's. It's a lot of confusion there. There's a whole Babygate thing going on too. That the people saw her a couple of days right before she gave birth, and she had no baby bump or anything. But that's some of the stuff that was going on with that. Now, when I agreed to take this case, my life was turned upside down. Okay, the lug nuts on my tires were over tightened, so that when I would be driving, the bolts were snapping off the tires. You know, not that people say, well, they loosened up the lugs and then it would crack. You could tell that right away. If you start driving, the tires are loose. But if they over tighten it, you go over too fast, they snap off. That's what was happening to me. My home was broken into. My office was broken into. They broke into my office, into the office, which was secured, and they replaced a cable that we used, because the phone I was working on, Shirley Tripp's phone, I had worked on that phone before, not her particular phone, but the exact model phone. So I had a cable that I knew worked on that phone. When I was using it on her phone, I couldn't get a connection. I says, what's going on here? I know this cable's good. I replaced the cable, right? And we discovered that the first cable had been swapped out. For a data cable was swapped out for a charging cable. It could not transmit data through that cable. It could only charge the phone through that cable. So someone had broken into the office and swapped out that cable. Okay? There's no doubt in my mind. They had to have gotten into the safe in the office. They got into my home past my dog. Okay? So they had to put my dog to sleep. And thinking back, I can kind of remember the day when the dog was acting all sleepy and funny and stuff. I had to take him to the vet, because they drugged the dog when they get into the house. Another thing that went on, okay, by the way, too, we had to move the office, okay? I had nice, inexpensive office space that I was just sharing with a couple of people. And I had to move that to this much more secured office space that was much more expensive. I was making good money, you know, but even though that this case kind of was wearing me into the ground, once we moved into that more expensive office, I could not keep up with my share of the rent with that. And that's pretty much how I wound up where I am today, working pretty much out of the house with the forensic stuff. So, also, people were inserting themselves into my life, okay, that were obviously intelligence agents. Okay, one of them, but not like I suspected. I suspected like local people to be doing it. But, yeah, the dog lived. One of them was definitely Israeli intelligence. Her story was fascinating. She was brought up in Kosovo as a child prostitute. Somehow got a scholarship to come here to the United States, wound up at the Betty Ford Clinic, then wound up here in Las Vegas. Okay, and then suddenly, somehow, inserted herself into my life. Another one was this young girl who I hired. Then I'm start hearing that she's part of the Freemasons. She's what do you call it? What do they call that? The Star, the Eastern Star. She was part of the Eastern Star, and her uncle was this, and father was that. They were all part of the Freemasons. Another one was so obviously Chinese intelligence. I started finding out. She's telling me stories. Yeah, I was in Egypt during the revolution, during the what's that called? The uprising in Egypt. She was there during the Egyptian revolution. Then there's another picture on her Facebook. She's in Singapore or something like that at the embassy over there. I caught her in the middle of all kinds of stuff. So I had all these people inserting themselves into my life. Now, what happened was, the deal was that the case was over. They were supposed to send me all the stuff that was in the police evidence locker. The first batch of stuff that came over, there was a pinhole in the envelope, in the FedEx envelope, where they could stick a camera in there and look at the paperwork and the different items that we had in there. When the day that all the equipment came over, the laptops, the cell phones, the thumb drives, all of them, with the day that, first of all, we were fighting with the police department. They would not release her equipment. We had to go back to the judge and say, listen, order them to release all of her property from the evidence locker. There's no reason for them to hold it anymore. All the charges are completed. The case has been disposed. The judge orders they have to return all the stuff. They says, Your Honor, we accidentally destroyed some of the stuff. It was a big mistake. We thought it was a different prostitute, and we destroyed the stuff. We didn't know it was her. But finally, we did get this big chunk of stuff. Okay, hard drives and laptops and zip drives and thumb drives and stuff like that. The day, folks, that stuff arrived at my office is the exact same day that Sarah Palin went on Hannity and Combs and declared that she was not running for president in 2012. Okay? She had some other reasons too, and I'm not saying that was the only reason why she decided not to run, but it was absolutely 100% a factor in her decision to run for president in 2012. There is no doubt in anybody's mind that's involved in any of this. Later on, there was a big scandal where the Secret Service agents down in Colombia, they got busted because they didn't want to pay the prostitute down in Colombia. I get a phone call. Ed, I know that Secret Service agent. I know who that guy is. He did the same thing to me. Todd Palin introduced that man to me, and he came in. I gave him a happy ending. He didn't want to pay me, and he left. Laughed at me. I said, okay, all right. Turns out it was all true. Okay? It wasn't in the news that this guy, he was one of Sarah Palin's Secret Service agents in Alaska. This was all true. That's how I got involved in the congressional investigation involving Secret Service misconduct in Colombia and other stuff. I had to take affidavits. I documented all the stuff in her and all the stuff I had in inventory that was related to this guy who was the Secret Service agent. We submitted that to Congress, and they did rule that there was other misconduct besides this, this Colombia stuff. What I am trying to tell you is that one person can make a difference, okay? even when the obstacles look like they're too big, like it's dangerous for your own health, and you're going to have problems, okay? You're going to have problems with your business. You're going to have problems in your life, people infiltrating, and even possible attempts on your life and your family and harming your family and your dog and this kind of stuff. But it's not this big thing. These people who report to you watching YouTube videos are telling you that the Illuminati is so big and the New World Order is so big. They choose who's going to be there. It's chosen at Bilderberg. It's chosen who's going to be president. And there's no way to influence it. There's no way to control it. That is not true. I've met enough of these guys that I know there is some wiggle room for us to get in there and make a difference, okay? But first thing we got to do is decide that we're not and just sit in the corner and watch YouTube and be a bunch of idiots and afraid of our own shadows. We got to stand up and resist. We can do this. Right now, we got a candidate. He's not the perfect candidate. I'm not saying he's the perfect candidate. There's no reason for anybody to keep pointing out flaws in this one guy who's making an effort to say what we need done in this country, which is to break up these big banks, tax the 1%, everyone get a fair shake, get some free health care. Every other country has free health care. Countries we send $8 billion to Israel every year, they get free health care and we don't. These are obvious things. These are things we can achieve. But better than that, when you go to these Bernie rallies and you talk to the people in the rallies, I'm urging you to go to these rallies, people, and meet, not to listen to Bernie. He says a lot more stuff that you don't hear on TV. But talk to the people in the audience. They are tuned into what we're talking. They're a lot more radical than Bernie is. They're just as radical as I am, some even more. These people know what the deal is, and everybody's getting fed up. We have a grassroots movement. There's 2 million people that have donated to the Bernie campaign, $5, $10. I donated $10 today myself, okay? Because I believe we have a chance here where we can get one of our guys in there, and then we got to put the pressure on him. It's not going to end there. We got to keep the pressure up, but we can. We got to do this, people. We have one chance. I'm 53 years old. I don't think I'm going to see another candidate like this again. And I think I've never been this excited. I've never donated money out of altruism like this, like out of hope. I've donated money out of cynical bribery my whole life. Not recently, but back when I had the nightclub and stuff. Listen, we can do this. But each one of us listening to the sound of my voice, we need to get off our butts, and we really, really need to take action this time. There's a window of opportunity here. I can testify to you from my heart that one man can make a difference, and we can see a candidate who would have declared we can get that candidate out. Okay? I know that can happen. I've also heard, okay, from people directly worked in the Obama White House. You've heard some of the guests I've had. I talk to these people off the air, okay? But I also talk to people who won't come on the air. I talk to a lot of people, folks, okay, because now I got this thing. I can say, hey, you want to come on the show? I got a reason to call them up, and they have a reason to talk to me. A lot of them say I can't do the show. But we start talking, because then, I can talk to people. I'm telling you, I am testifying to you with the sound of my voice here from my heart, in all sincerity, okay? If everyone listening to this show right now just made that little $3 donation to the Bernie campaign that they want, we can win in Iowa, okay? Here in Nevada, we can take this. The caucus is going to be February 20th at 11 a.m. They can't, what are they going to, there was only, last night, there were, according to the Review Journal, there were 700 people there. At the Clinton camp, the rally, okay? It's going to be the same kind of group at the caucus, and you can convince people to vote your way at the caucus. First, they have like a head count, but the people, the O'Malley people, we can convince them to turn to Bernie. And I think they're ripe for it too. So I'm pleading with you, everyone, with the sound of my voice. Okay, it's not just that we got to sign the petition for Ray Gray and get Ray Gray out of prison and get Reverend Pinckney out of prison and get those bums in Michigan thrown into prison that are pumping lead into those kids. All the stuff. I found out tonight that Reverend Pinckney, you heard him the first time he came on his show. Reverend Pinckney was running around telling people about the water. No one was listening to him. You know what I found out tonight? He used to run around over there in Benton Harbor, Michigan. He had his own device to turn people's water back on after the water company turned his water off. Okay, they couldn't pay the bill because in Michigan, the water bill's $150 a month is the average water bill. So they'd turn off people's water, and then they'd go in and they'd condemn the property, and they'd steal the property. He had a little tool to turn that water back on for him. That's why Reverend Pinckney's in prison, guys. He shouldn't be there. The governor there right now, he should be in prison. Ray Gray should not be in prison. These other guys should be in prison, okay? But it's not just that. We don't have to be radical all the time. We can work within the system as well. I'm encouraging you people, don't just say, oh, the New World Order controls everything. Don't listen to these idiots that get all their information from YouTube, okay? You got a guy right here. In all sincerity, I put my ass on the line for this Shirley Tripp thing. I put my ass on the line for this Sarah Palin thing. No one even knows the story. No one wants to talk about it. I was on Nightline. I started trying to talk to them. They didn't want to hear it. No one wants to hear this stuff. They know it. They don't want to hear it. Doesn't fit their narrative. Just like they want to tell you right now that Bernie's not winning in all the polls, that Bernie can't win. Bernie can win. He's not going to be perfect. But we can keep his feet to the fire, okay? And we get in Elizabeth Warren in there. We get Cynthia McKinney back in there, okay? Now we can really get some stuff going. Now, I know I've had a lot of guests on here. I had Danny Sheehan, I had Cindy Sheehan, Cynthia McKinney, and I'd say to them, is there really any difference between the Democrats and the Republicans? And, and this, I would always say, we say, well, what's the solution? Well, we just vote out the rascals. I believe right now, we're not just voting out the rascals with another rascal. We're voting out the rascals with a guy who's saying all the right stuff, okay? And we can hold him to it. Now, if at my age, if this is Lucy holding the football and I'm Charlie Brown, I'm running down there, I'm going to take a swipe at this football. I don't care if it gets pulled out. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm 53 years old. We cannot continue. We have to resist the way they are treating us. We cannot live this way any longer. 2 years ago, I used to talk about the Walton family and about how 6 people have 30% of this country's wealth. Today, it's 40%. It's not going down. There's nothing that's going to change this unless we stand up and make it change. So I encourage everybody, okay? What can we do? What can we do? I'm telling you, we can make a change because I've seen it in my own personal life. Okay, I made a change with Sarah Palin. I've seen it I've heard it stories with Obama and with Clinton with the Netanyahu thing. So they do have some power beyond what I've given them credit for in the past. I believe that now. What can we do? What can we do tonight? What can we do today? What can we do tomorrow? You can donate the $3 to Bernie. What an investment. You donate $3 and you get free health care next year. Next January 20th, you'll have free health care. Wouldn't that be nice? You save $5,000 a year. You don't have to have a fine hanging over your head, living like an animal. 1 year from today, we can have that by investing $3. You get out in your caucus. You got to go to, if you find out where your caucus is or your primary election is, you got to get there. We can't let Hillary win. We know what Hillary is. We know what Bill and Hillary are. They're criminals. Mena, Arkansas, the Iran-Contra drug smuggler. We know who these people are. The Clinton body count. I've had Robert Moore on the rapes with Clinton. Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, guys? It's all coming together. You see how it's all coming together? Okay? We know who the enemy is. It's right in front of our face. We cannot allow them to get in office. I don't think Bernie's raped anybody. Okay? I'm pretty sure Clinton did. You know? So, went a little bit over. Okay? You got to take some action, guys. Okay? Otherwise, 53 years old, I'm just talking into the wind, and I don't want to think that's what my life has become. When just a couple of years ago, I was doing some pretty serious work, and and now here I am, putting my focus and my energy into this. So I'm begging you, the petition, ipetitions.com, free Ray Gray. No one's helping that guy. You know, he's sitting in prison right now tonight. He's been there for 43 years. We get this petition before the governor. Maybe we'll wake some people up there in Michigan, and we get them some help, okay? Part 2, get behind Bernie, okay? Trust me on this, guys. If you trust me, trust my judgment on this. A lot of people come to me with advice all day long. I must know what I'm... For some reason, they come to me, right? I must know something. I can't be a total idiot, right? I raised a great kid. Can't have Trump. Trump gets in, we will be living under a Mussolini-type dictatorship with racism and fascism in the streets and brown shirts. Okay, it's a scary crowd. I've seen them. I've seen them firsthand with my own eyes. I'm here to report to you that I've seen them with my own eyes. I'm not reporting to you something I saw on YouTube. I'm not reporting to you some nonsense about UFOs. I'm channeling UFOs. I'm going out and looking at things. I'm coming back and telling you what I saw. When you got a fight, okay, my whole life, man, when I saw a fight coming, I get in shape for it, man. I train for it, you know? And that's what I'm doing right now, guys. I'm training for this fight. I want to get as much people behind this as we can. We can all get together, $3 each, man. By the way, too, you know, I mean, we get these donations behind our show here. It helps, you know, get Bernie on the show, stuff like that as well, okay? Gets me more access to the candidate, all right? All right, wink, wink. Okay, we get more access to the candidate. We get more information, more access in the future. Get it, guys? So listen, that's the plan, right? We're all going to get together on this. We're going to put aside these fantasies about the Anunnaki and these crazy people, you know, who is these people? The Kerry Cassidys, you know, telling you, oh, we can't do nothing because it's ruled from off planet, you know, all that nonsense. Let's shake our heads real hard, smack ourselves in the face, and say, let's forget about all that. Okay, let's get serious here. Nuts and bolts. Let's get back to reality. Let's snap out of it. Okay? And stop believing all this awake and aware nonsense out there telling you that you can't do anything and that the game is so rigged and they're so big and powerful that we don't have a choice and they're tapping our phones through space aliens and all kind of crap. All right? Let's get serious. We got the Iowa caucus coming up. We can win Iowa. If we win New Hampshire, we got in the bag. We win Iowa, we win New Hampshire. We're on a roll. We can take down this Clinton crime machine. 2 million of us behind this campaign so far, making little donations. Millions showing up at these rallies. Go to these rallies, you talk to these people, they know what they're talking about. They're tuned in, guys. They're not going to look at you like you're crazy when you're talking about the 1%, how we're getting screwed. They're not going to look at you like you're crazy when you talk about a guy like Ray Gray or a guy like Reverend Pinckney. They're going to say, really, what can I do? I've been there. I've talked to them. Not on YouTube, physically. Go to a Clinton rally, a bunch of hacks. Hacks and people wandering around. We went to the Clinton march at the first debate. They're all union people standing around. Old union people just got paid $5, $10, $15 to be there. They had no enthusiasm. They weren't marching around. We were marching all over the place. We got an army, guys, at our disposal right now. People marching in the street, okay? Marching for $15 an hour, right? We got them right now. And what's our excuse that we're not using them? Oh, Bernie's gun control. Bernie and Israel. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Everything's not perfect, guys, all right? But we got a movement. We got a movement that is moving, doing something, not sitting on their asses talking, not sitting around watching YouTube. Get the 15. What kind of accomplishment would it be if we got $15 an hour? Which means that the people you know and the people I know all got $15 an hour in their pocket, right? To go into your store, to go into my store and buy something from you, donate to my member section. Okay, you know how many people listen to me right now, working, you know, making $8 an hour, that would love to subscribe, but Ed, I can't. I'm broke. My job sucks. Right? Get them $15 an hour. Now we can do it. Well, I can go on and on. They're talking about how it's a problem that we're paying $2 a gallon. The gasoline is $20 a barrel, $27 a barrel. And they say, oh, no, this is terrible because of the stock market. oh no, the stock market's going to go down. Did you know that only 40% of the people in this country have any money in the stock market whatsoever? And a great majority of them, it's because of their 401k or their pension or whatever is invested in the stock market. And they're in that equation that they're invested, they have a vested interest in the stock market. You're trying to tell me that I'm better off because 40% of this country got some money in the stock market. It's going to go down a couple of bucks. That it's better off that they don't lose a couple of bucks, that I got to spend twice the amount of money when I'm filling up my gas tank? All right? Right. These are things we can demand, okay, once we get these little demands now, okay? Right? And it's not just giving money, too. You give the little $3, the $5, they're not asking for a lot of money. That because just the fact that more people have donated to the Bernie Sanders campaign than have donated to any other campaign in history. Small donations. There's even a little option in it. Donate $3 a week until Iowa. You know? Got to win Iowa. Let's shake them up. Let's shake them up, man, and show them that we're not a bunch of punks. Okay? Then we're not going to just keep bending over and taking what they put to us. Okay, I saw you guys in the chat room tonight. You were talking about, oh, man, oh, boy, Ray Gray getting screwed over there in Michigan. This guy getting screwed. Okay? $3 is a really good investment, man, to get free health care. It's a really good investment to break up these freaking banks, man. That you gotta. They're screwing you over so much with these overdraft fees and all this stuff they're doing, man. We need someone. But in the 70s, they didn't get away with that kind of stuff. We had people like Ralph Nader and Consumer Department. There was hearings and stuff we could do. We can get back to that, but we have to take out the campaign finance reform we need. These kinds of things, we need to take out the money, these bought politicians. And this is a first step. I'm not saying it's the solution to everything. And please, don't go nitpicking at the guys that are trying to do something. You know? It's a problem. You know, when someone wants to step out and try and lead a movement, and people want to nitpick on them. You know, no one's perfect, but but this can be done. And I've testified to you tonight firsthand that I've seen it in the Sarah Palin case. She was gonna run for president. She could have ran for president, but she didn't because someone stood up to her and dug up some dirt on her. And these things can be done. Plenty of dirt on Trump. Okay? You know what, man? If at the next Trump rally, if 30 of us showed up down there and we started screaming, what about Jeffrey Epstein? If at the next Clinton rally, 10 of us were in there screaming, what about Jeffrey Epstein? That has to get reported on the news. Okay? Because I'll report it here and it'll go viral. We can make it go viral. Okay? I know a lot of people like to report on Anunnaki and the chemtrails and all that kind of stuff. They were lighting snow on fire. Remember a couple of years ago they were lighting the snow. Oh, look, the snow burns. Look, I take my butane lighter and look, it burns. Oh my goodness, it doesn't melt, it burns. Oh my goodness, that's because of it's artificial snow. You know. Hey. So I think I got out the story about Sarah Palin pretty good. And I think I got out almost all of that, what I wanted to explain to you. Little funny side note to that story is I actually could have gone down to I was going to go to Congress and testify in person to my findings. But at the last second, they gave me a credit card machine that I needed to create a report from the data in that credit card machine, and I had never done it before. So we had to do all this research and find out how to do it and figure out how to do it, and we were working on it. And it was kind of funny because the day I was working on it, I was interviewed on a radio station. Broly, are you saying that my audio is popping? I was interviewed on this radio station in Australia that was talking about... in fact, you can find it. It's called like Phil Dobie... It's on YouTube. Ed Opperman, Phil Dobie, something like that, or Digital Forensics. And so he was telling me there was a story going on in Australia with some MP, or I think they call them over there PMs or whatever, was claiming that his cell phone was cloned And that's why there was all these escort services and prostitutes on his phone logs. He wasn't calling them. The guy who cloned his phone was calling him. So, it was a fun little lighthearted interview. And I said to him, I said, send me the phone. I said, I'll what do you call it? Send me the phone and I'll examine it and I'll send a report for it. I'll do this, tell him I'll help him out. I'll do it for free. Just if he's claiming that his phone was cloned, I'll help him out. And I had mentioned that, I'm supposed to be testifying at a congressional investigation tomorrow, right? So this was all over the news in Australia, on TV and everything, that this U.S. congressional investigator was going to examine this MP's phone for free and clear his name. Like, I guess they didn't get my joke, because it was kind of one of the little side note nutty deals that went on during the whole Sarah Palin fiasco. But we did turn up some dirt on some corrupt and what I found out about the U.S. Secret Service too, and those two, because I was also involved in one too with the Salahis, with the D.C. Gate crashers too, and their testimony before Congress. So I was involved in 2 congressional hearings that involved U.S. Secret Service misbehavior. And I found out that the U.S. Secret Service is a real bunch of drunken shenanigans going on with that bunch. You wouldn't believe. You could just Google some of the stuff out there that's been going on with those guys and their drunken parties. In Utah, at the Olympics in Utah, they were having drunken parties, 40-year-old men, 45, 50-year-old men, having parties with 17-year-old girls, high school kids, in their hotel rooms at the Olympics. They're guarding the Olympics. This isn't a secret. This is well known that this went on. Giving alcohol to minor teenage girls. You and me would be stuff about they're waking up drunk, passed out in the street in Washington D.C. with their gun got stolen. Crazy stuff went on with these Secret Service agents. So I don't know what's going on with that. Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, watching Bin Laden, Biden swim nude. So the moral of the story is, guys, and what I wanted to get out tonight is, we can have a political revolution. I've seen it firsthand that these people are not bulletproof. Well, not bulletproof. They're not set in stone. Okay, we can make a difference. And I've learned firsthand, too, as well, that when the president is in office, they do create some policy on their own. It's not all controlled. I believe all these things as reality that I've found out firsthand in my years, in this last year's couple of work, of talking to people in high-level K Street lawyers and stuff like that, and people I've talked to on the show and off the show from having this platform. So I'm encouraged, okay? I'm encouraged, and I'm encouraging you to go out and let's make a difference. Okay, guys? Don't forget the member section. There's a lot of new content in there. I'm trying to get as much as I can. It's been really busy. Tomorrow, Victoria, we're going to she's auditioning for a new high school. So, and it's a really good opportunity for her, too. She's going to be taking a liberal arts major where she'll be debating for this school, and she'll be writing. She wants to be like a columnist or a writer or something like that. And I think you've seen her talent on the radio. She was very talented. So keep us in your prayers for that. You know what? One more thing, too. Victoria had a childhood friend who was like my own daughter, to tell you the truth. She was in my home every single day when she was little. We celebrated her birthday. I would buy the birthday cake, and she celebrated Christmas at our home, too. And she had a really terrible crisis today in her life. And her name is Haley. And I would just ask everybody to pray for Haley. Sweet kid who's just had such a rough life and just got dealt another really cruel blow to her life. And so keep her in your prayers, please, for comfort and for strength. Okay, as much strength as God can give her. Guys, I love you all. I'll see you on AFR, American Freedom Radio, tomorrow, 3 p.m. We're doing a show about Paul is Dead. Tina Foster coming back. And we're going to be talking about Paul is Dead and how he was swapped out and also about the other political leaders and stuff like that are clearly have been swapped out, like Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. A lot of them are very obviously had doppelgangers and doubles and all kinds of fun stuff. I believe. I mean, let's get into this, and I'll talk to her about Putin, because I'm convinced that this is not the same Putin. if you go to Google Images and you look up fake Putins or double Putins, how many Putins are there? Vladimir Putin, I'm talking about, the KGB agent. That so many people in alternative media think he's a hero. This KGB agent, there was just a court ruling that said he was probably behind the murder of some ex-KGB agent, and but alternative media, oh no, but you see how tough he is. He wrestles bears and he rides around with his shirt off, rides a horse, and Obama rides a little bicycle with his little helmet on. Oh boy, I want him to lead our country so he can kill us. All right, guys. Oh, boy, I wonder if I should kill another 10 minutes. Any questions from the chat room? Or any comments or anything like that you want to say? Stephen Hawkins and Manson have been switched. That's very possible. Okay, let's see. Announcements. That's pretty much it for announcements, except that the new thing is American Freedom Radio, Saturdays afternoon, 3 p.m. By the way, the more people that tune into their live, I can probably get a better time slot than 3 in the afternoon. I'm sure we're going to be making a little splash over there because we've gotten so much traffic from that. You have no idea. It's just been phenomenal. I haven't had a boost like this in a long, long time. Well, yeah, okay, real quick. We got 9 minutes left, and Tommy from the chat room says, talk about the price of oil. Not the price of oil, but the fact is, okay, that oil is a national resource. Okay, now this is what I'm saying. This is not what Bernie's saying. This is what I'm saying. It's a national resource. It should be owned by all the people equally. Okay? It should not be owned by some big company that 400 years, or, in the 1800s, they got to it first because they had slaves and they had the trains and they had the expensive horses and stuff like that. So they could get there and they had the equipment to drill for it. So now they own it forever. Okay? And then it belongs to these few little families. No. It's under the same ground that I stand on, that you stand on, that we live on, we have our homes on. It's owned by all of us equally, just like the water, just like the air. So there's no reason why private companies should control that natural resource. The oil industry is the richest industry out there. Now, not only do these few little companies get to keep all those billions and billions of dollars, and the influence they have too over the auto industry, and killing the electric car and killing other kind of solar power and stuff like that. They want to keep everything on this fossil fuel. If we nationalize the oil company like they did in Venezuela, okay? In Venezuela at one time, gasoline was 11 cents a gallon, okay? Now, it'll never happen here in the United States. We can get it down to about 50 cents a gallon. It should be right now $1 a gallon. Right now, there's no excuse why it should not be $1 a gallon right now. Once we can get all those profits, the oil industry profits, circulated back into the economy, not in the hands of a few lazy stockholders that never worked a day in their freaking life, or people that inherited this money, get it back circulated amongst the people here, and the price of gasoline is down to 50 cents a gallon. That causes a reduction in the price of all goods and services. You want to buy tomatoes. Tomatoes are going to be like 50 cents cheaper. Beer. The price of beer will go down drastically. You have no idea how much it'll go down because it's all shipping and driving it around. That's where all the stuff goes. The other little simple thing we could snap our fingers, man, and solve this country's economy is doubling the tax on the top 1%. Right now, the top 1% in this country pays 70% of the taxes, but they're only paying 10% tax, 12% tax. They're not paying 30% like you and I are paying. If they were just to pay the same rate that you and I pay right now, revenue would increase by 40%. It would go from 70% to 140%. They would, because we're doubling it, right? So now they're paying 140% of the revenue is coming in by the 1%. The rest of us have to pay no tax. We pay zero tax. Anybody making less than $10 million a year pays zero tax. Okay? And the revenue still increases by 40%. Now, they got a little trick where they tell you, and they'll say, even if the 1% were to triple their tax, 10 times their tax, that will not affect the national debt one little bit. We're not talking about the national debt. The national debt's not being affected now at 100%. It gets up to 140%. We double their tax. Now we're whittling away a little bit at the national debt. We weren't before. But the 1%, why is there so much waste in government? Why is there these defense contracts and all this stuff like that, all these boondoggles and this pork barrel? Why is all that tax money getting stolen right now and these bills being prepared? It's because the 1% is stealing that money. You and me aren't getting that money. We're not getting a cut of that pie. They're getting it. Once they have to foot the bill for that, you think they're going to continue that game and making up all that crap and laundering all that money through Congress? No, they don't have to. Because they can save just by not telling those same congressmen they got in their pocket saying, hey, don't waste that money anymore because I got to pay it. I'm footing the bill for that now. So now we've reduced the spending, we've increased the revenue, and every man, 360 million of us, the 99%, have double the amount of cash in our pockets, in our paycheck every week because we're no longer being taxed. We got double the amount of money we had before. Gasoline is down. All prices of goods and services are down. We all have double the money in our pocket. And we have increased revenue because the 1% are not paying their fair share that they haven't paid all along this time. Now, how simple is that? And there's a couple other little things we can be doing, too. There is an industry in this country so powerful that if you mention their name, they will shut you down because it's happened to me. But they take a cut. You can probably figure out what I'm talking about. They take a cut on every transaction that is done by plastic in this country. They get up to 3% they get of every transaction. When you go and you use your credit card, you use your debit card in the store, sure, you think you're paying with money. The merchant has to pay this industry, which is owned by one company, owns 60% of that industry. One company. If you mention their name, they shut you, they put you out of business the next day. First of all, this isn't in the Constitution. It's unconstitutional. They're going to take a cut on financial transactions. They're not printing money. They don't have there's no backing for this. What authority do they have to do this? The government could take over that industry in a minute. Okay. There's other things too. Like government things. See, socialism is not about welfare and food stamps and that kind of stuff. Take that out of your mind. Okay. There's going to be poor people that need help no matter what, whether you're under capitalism or socialism or communism or fascism. Okay, the only thing is when you're under fascism, then you got these guys that believe in eugenics, eugenics, right? Is that the word? Not eugenics. Survival of the fittest, where they kill off the weakest ones. It's eugenics? Yeah, I think that's the phrase I'm thinking of. Anyway, so unless you believe in exterminating these weak and these poor and those that are unable to work, no matter what system of government we're under, whether it's capitalism, socialism, communism, or fascism, there are people that are going to be needed to be taken care of, okay? So let's just take that out of the equation. But there's certain things you could do with a socialist government. The government could hire people to create toilet paper and soap and toothbrushes, the basic essentials, okay? And if you're making good money, you got a lot of money in your pocket, you can go to the store and you can buy the fancy soap and buy the fancy toilet paper. But if you don't have that money, we can put people to work making those government supply. They can have a government store that sells this crap. And then all the kids, they'll make fun of, hey, you go shopping at that government store with that cheap toilet paper. Okay, who cares, But people will be able to wipe their butts with cheap toilet paper, man. Right? To live and survive. The basics. What do we come to in this country that you can walk into a Starbucks and pay $5, $10 for a cup of coffee and you're walking over a homeless guy to get in there? What's become of it? Where's our humanity? That we can live this way. I remember when I was a kid, I was like 9, 8 years old, even younger. And we were driving in the car. We were, my father, my grandma was in the car, my mother was in the car, my sister was in the car. And we saw a guy driving down in the Bronx, and there was a homeless guy, a bum, eating out of the garbage pail. And we all got sick to our stomachs, saying, "Oh, look at it! Oh, look at that! My God, he's eating out of the garbage pail." Oh, we were sick for the rest of the day. How could you do that? How can you even put your mouth on it? Now we walk past it 10 times a day, and we think nothing. That our fellow man is dying in the street. And then you got a guy like Donald Trump with golden faucets and gold-layered curtains molesting little kids, guys. Let's, allegedly, with his buddy Jeffrey Epstein. We don't know what's going on with that, And this is our hero that we're going to put on TV, and we're going to treat this like it's normal. There's a lot of stuff we can do. Basic human survival. Like, when you get tickets, right? And they say, "We'll go down and work off your tickets by cleaning them by the side of the road." We could do that same thing to pay off our water bill. If you can't pay your electric bill, they should have a program where you can go and work and clean the sidewalks or something like that, and pick up the weeds, so you don't get your electricity shut off. You don't get your gas shut off. You don't have your water shut off. That you can, do a little. And if you have to sit and stuff envelopes, you can do that. At least give people that option. Not everybody can do it. Some people are invalids. Some people are disabled. They can't do it. But some people can. These are common sense solutions, guys. And I'm sure everybody listening to the show can think of 1,000 more things that could be done to help our fellow man, to help each other, not to be the 1% greed, sucking all the oxygen out of the earth and taking everything for themselves, these greedy, hoarding, whats. What can we do right now? We got a guy who's leading. We got a guy out in front who's walking in the right direction. He's walking in the left direction, actually. But he's walking. He's marching. And he's got 2 million people behind him right now. And they're all thinking the same thing. They're all saying the same thing. This is no good. We got to overturn what's going on. Okay, he's not the perfect guy. Not the perfect guy. He's not the Messiah. Okay, he didn't come down from a cloud. Okay, he came from Vermont, by way of Brooklyn. Okay, he came from Vermont with a bagel in his hand. Okay, but here we got this guy who is marching in the right direction. We got 2 million people right behind him. We're all going in the same direction. Now we got our guys, little tougher guys in the background. We're going to jump in the back of this pack. We bring in Black Lives Matters. We bring in the old, the old guys. Let's do this. Let's all march in that same direction, guys. $3 out of your pocket tonight, you donate to Bernie Sanders. We're making a statement. It's $3. It's a first step in the right direction. We all get out in the streets. We march with Bernie. March for $15. Look it up, man. They got marches for $15 in every city. Look it up. And it's not about fast food workers either, man. This is about workers, home care workers, cashiers, salesmen, waitresses. It's not all fast food workers. That's a trick. Don't fall for that. Everyone who works at the supermarket is making making minimum wage. Walmart, they're all making minimum wage. So it's not just fast food workers about flipping burgers, and they deserve to make $3, $5 an hour. Okay, it's much more developed than that. Guys, I'm way over time tonight. I got to eat some food. Thank you for letting me ramble and rant tonight. The chat room was very supportive. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m., Tina Foster. Paul is dead. I believe Paul was swapped out. And you know who I think did it? See you tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock. Same time, same channel. Bye.